dropped, and it's showtime from downtown Winnipeg.
Morrissey the blast, moves back, scores! Shankly wires and scores!
What a stop by Hellebuck!
Kyle Connor, Jets go bang, bang, bang!
Welcome to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
Welcome to episode 153 of Ground Control. I'm Jamie Thomas. Mitch and Paul will be back next week. Since it is I Love to Read Month in the province of Manitoba, Paul was wise enough to sit down with three members of the Jets who at one time in their lives were named Scholastic Player of the Year in their respective major junior leagues. The first of these interviews will be with Cole Perfetti. Now, Cole won the 2020 CHL Scholastic Player of the Year. He had combined success on the ice with success in school by setting a single-season scoring record of 111 points, including 37 goals and 74 assists over 61 games. He did that while achieving an overall academic average of 93%. Here's his conversation with Paul.
Cole, in 2019-2020, prior to being drafted by the Winnipeg Jets in 2020, you were selected as the CHL's Scholastic Player of the Year. Just tell me a little bit about that award and how special it is for you, since this is I Love to Read Month right across Manitoba.
Yeah, that was a big deal. That was obviously a goal of mine. Obviously I wanted to start with the, Scholastic Player of the Month for the OHL, and then maybe win the OHL Scholastic Player of the Year, and ended up going on to win the CHL Scholastic Player of the Year. So it's pretty special. Academics has always been a big part of my life and a big part of my family's life. Like, my parents kind of always harped on me to, hockey's very important, but so is school, so is academics. You got to make sure you're learning and getting good grades and taking care of stuff in that aspect. And it was, I always, growing up, you dream of playing in the NHL, but, you always, expect that that's not, I don't know how to put it. Like, it's a dream, but, luckily my dream became a reality. And I always just took school very, very seriously and always wanted to make sure that if hockey was to not work out, that I'd, have a backup plan and that my academics weren't going to let me down. And fortunately enough, I don't have that problem right now, and I'm, being able to live out my childhood dreams. So it's pretty special, but at the same time, academics is a huge part of everyone's lives. Like, it's so important to learn, and I think, it's still, I got to do a better job of it now, but I think I've taken a couple courses after through the NHLPA and learning stuff like that. So I think it's really important, and that was a huge honor for me and my family to, be recognized. And, I put a lot of hard work and got a lot of help from the teachers and stuff at Saginaw High there or Heritage in Saginaw. So it was great. It was a great accomplishment.
Interesting. It was your grade 12 year. I believe your GPA was 93% that year. And then also, did you not combine going to high school both in Whitby and in Saginaw over your time? So there was some transition there over the course of grade 10, 11, 12, was there not?
Yeah, there was. Obviously, when you take so in grade 9 and 10, actually, we'll go back to there. I went to the Hill Academy, a private school in Vaughan. That was for hockey and lacrosse, really big lacrosse program. They got the one of the top lacrosse programs in North America, and so I went there for hockey, and it was awesome. Like, not only for my athletics, but for my academics as well. Learned so much, smaller classrooms, and you really get to, learn and get one-on-one action with the teachers. So it was great. And then obviously going to the OHL, went to the Saginaw Spirit, and we went to a high school called Heritage High, and great high school. We had a great academic advisor, Pam Mortuzzo, who worked with the players and worked with the team, and it was great. So learned lots there, and she made it really easy to match up the courses from Saginaw to my home school in Whitby. And we ended up, the season ends in April, May, and I had 2 months left of school before the school year was done. And both years I had, I took a couple online classes, took a couple courses that I knew would translate really easily, and they would take the credits no problem, and there was no issue. So it was smooth sailing and really easy transition.
Did you not, in that year as well, that you won the CHL Scholastic Player of the Year, take some university courses along the way?
No, I didn't take university.
Just university entrance?
Yes. So I was taking, in Saginaw, we actually, it's called IB. So it's like in at least in Ontario, I'm not sure about
International Baccalaureate?
Yes. So it's like advanced placement is kind of like the highest in Ontario for AP, and so the IB's, I guess, a little step up in Michigan high school. I'm not sure really how it worked, but I took a bunch of IB courses that I knew would translate to kind of AP classes back in Ontario. So and ended up doing pretty good in them. So it was important to make sure that I was taking, advanced classes and making sure that, I was pushing myself in the classroom as well.
Okay, tell me a little bit about the balance of riding the bus, playing hockey, studying, all of what goes into whether you're playing in the Western League, the Q, or the O as you did.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, obviously the courses that are, with the teachers, you just, our academic advisor would obviously let them know that they're gone, the players are gone for this long, and this is how much they're going to miss. And we'd either get it before the road trip and have to do it along the trip, or catch up with it afterwards. And it was tough, but at the same time, the teachers and our academic advisor did a really good job with helping us keep up to date with the work and learn and make sure that if we were confused or had questions or anything, that they were there to help us, and that we weren't just going to be like, oh, it's too bad. They really put a good effort in to help us. And then the online courses were they were hard, like they were good. I mean, there was times in my rookie year when I had a couple online classes where there was some due dates due on the bus, and I had to download everything off my phone and hotspot, and then sitting there while everyone else was playing cards and stuff like that and playing video games on the bus, I was sitting there at the front on my computer typing out essays and stuff like that. So glad that's kind of those days are done, but they were great, and having that kind of management between academics and athletics, I think it goes a long way, with in life, not just how to stay on top of things, how to manage two important things and not let one slip. And even though we were playing 68 games a year and lots of travel, and you're a 16-year-old kid first time living away from home, things can kind of get away from you, but making sure that your academics is really staying on par was huge for me, and I think a really big part of learning how to manage my life.
Always a great chat with Cole Perfetti, who, by the way, is being reevaluated. He did not play against the New York Rangers on Monday night. He's got an upper body injury. Of course, we'll know a little bit more about that as the Jets take on the New York Islanders on Wednesday, as I record this podcast on a Tuesday afternoon. Going back 13 years, Adam Lowry won the WHL Scholastic Player of the Year as a 16-year-old with the Swift Current Broncos. Lowry had a 92.2% average at the Swift Current Comprehensive High School in 2010. Paul talked with Adam about that and the fact he is turning 30 this March.
Shop where the players shop. Jets Gear and TrueNorthShop.com are your authentic team stores. Make sure to stock up on all your favorite Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose merchandise today. Visit one of the 5 Jets Gear locations or shop online at TrueNorthShop.com.
Hi, this is Adam Lowry, and you're listening to Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast kind of our careers have evolved, and how long we've actually been here in the organization. So real grateful that we've had our health and we've been able to have successful careers up to this point.
Okay, go back to the honor of winning the Scholastic Player of the Year, and you were 16 years old at the time. It was a first-year situation in Swift Current, and I can't imagine what that was like. So tell me, because we're going to dive into it a little bit, but was it an objective for you? Is it something that you wanted to do? How encouraged were you by your parents to both combine education and elite hockey when you were 16?
Yeah, to be truthfully honest, I don't even think I knew there was an award at the end of the year, recognizing both your academics and your on-ice play. And but growing up, hockey was obviously an important part of my life, but my parents made sure that the emphasis of school came first. So you always had to get your homework done. We always had to make sure we were keeping our grades up if we wanted to keep playing hockey or going to baseball or whatever other sport it was we were involved in. And I think that those lessons early on that were instilled upon us, kind of carried over. And it was all about managing your time at 16. There's a lot of other things that are going on in your life. It's your first time away from home, and you got to make sure you're staying on top of the important things, because there are a lot of distractions. And fortunately, I was able to kind of, stay focused, and I had great billets that, made sure I was getting to school on time. I know there was, a few times that I was cutting it close when I only lived 100 meters from the school. So, looking back, it was a great experience playing in Swift Current, and going to the Swift Current Comprehensive High. I look back and I think of some of the teachers, and Tracy Martin, who was our, and Colleen McBain, they were our academic advisors at the time, and Tracy actually billeted Paul Postma, so that's a name some Winnipeg Jets fans might remember. And she did a real good job of making sure our schedules were balanced so that we could get to practice on time, and making sure our course loads were full, that we were going to graduate on time, and things like that.
As a journalist, reporter, radio guy, you never want to inject yourself into the story, but I can't help because I cut my teeth in Swift Current as well. And prior to you winning the Scholastic Player of the Year in the Western Hockey League, and Ashley Buckberger won it in 1992, and I was there. It was just when I kind of read a little bit about your history in winning the award, it took me back to a place. And, let's talk a little bit about Swift Current and the infrastructure that was created there for you to have that opportunity to win that. You've touched on it slightly, but the Western Hockey League has come a very long way in a long period of time over the years to make sure that the academics and the elite hockey go simultaneously together.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and Colleen and then Tracy after Colleen. They did such a good job of making sure that our schedules were managed in a way that we could kind of maximize both the hockey product in Swift Current, but also our academics to make sure that post-secondary education was an option. And I think I was fortunate with my dad coaching junior as I was growing up, kind of learning some of the lessons through what he had to deal with, making sure guys weren't failing out of classes and making sure guys were showing up to the classes they needed to show up. And, Swift Current did a great job, making sure, one, you were on time, and two, you were doing the work that was required of you, and not just the bare minimum, really trying to excel. So, I was very fortunate. I went to a place that, didn't just let your education slide because you're now kind of playing hockey on a bigger stage. So looking back on it, I'm really grateful for that. Not only, did I graduate from high school, we were able to kind of start exploring some post-secondary education. Even my first few years in the league, I was still taking classes. Just wasn't sure if I was ever going to, achieve a full degree, but it was something that, I wanted to at least chip away at for a bit. And, things have changed slightly, I guess. I read more as opposed to taking classes, but, that stems back from kind of what I was taught not only in Calgary, going to West Island College and Bishop O'Byrne, but then at the Comprehensive High School in Swift Current as well.
Must be a sense of pride still when you look back on it, because the hard work that goes in. Talk about, how hard it can be when you're riding buses and trying to study, and books are flopping around as the bus is banging around, or guys are at the back of the bus playing cards and whooping it up, and you're on your way on a West Coast swing, or having to set aside a little bit of hotel time to do some homework as well. Just kind of take us back to those experiences and how disciplined you had to be as a 16-year-old back then to do that.
Yeah, you certainly have to make sure that it's a priority. Sometimes, as soon as you get the work, you want to get it out of the way so that, when Thursday night comes or Friday night comes, you're not dealing with that. You're worried about the game. So, sometimes it was tough. You'd get back 5, 6 in the morning from a long road trip, and you'd have school at 8:30 the next day, and you might have a test at, second period. So, I was fortunate. I was surrounded by a good group of young guys, Reese Scarlett, Graham Craig, and we all did very well in class, and kind of made a priority. Some days at lunch we would get together and we'd do the schoolwork, and you'd have distractions like David Riddick bouncing around, and you kind of have to block out the noise, but you make sure we got the work done so that when practice came or in the evenings we could kind of get together with the guys and still be kids. So it was tough. You'd miss weeks at a time sometimes, but our teachers did a great job getting us the work ahead of time so we could work ahead, and our coaches did a great job making sure that it wasn't just hockey. You kind of had to balance that, and once again, I'm thankful for being put in that situation, kind of being taught those lessons, and I think it even helps me today.
Hey Jets fans, I'm Sarah Orleski. Don't forget to join me after each and every home game for the Winnipeg Jets post-game show live presented by Budweiser, where you'll get exclusive interviews, in-room access, and more. Catch us on all Winnipeg Jets platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and winnipegjets.com.
Last and certainly not least is Josh Morrissey, who on Monday set a franchise record with his 57th and 58th points of the season, passing Dustin Byfuglien for the most points in a single season by a defenseman in franchise history. Now, Buff held that mark since the 2013-14 campaign. Morrissey won the CHL Scholastic Player of the Year award in 2013. He maintained a 92.4% average in his grade 12 year while playing with the Prince Albert Raiders. So just think, it was his draft year, and he wins this award. Morrissey discusses that and more with Paul.
Draft year, so there's a lot of extra stuff going on, interviews with teams, kind of scouting stuff, and I played under 18, and you have the top prospects game, and you're already balancing the busy schedule of that we have in Major Junior with PA Raiders. So it was a lot going on, to say the least, and a lot for a 17-year-old kid. But at that time, just school was really important to me and my family, and tried to really focus on maximizing your time when you were on the bus, or you had some downtime trying to get your work done, so you could enjoy off time with your buddies or whatever. So it was a busy year, and I wouldn't have been able to get the Scholastic Award and do as well as I did in school if it wasn't for the encouragement from my parents, but also the educational coordinator in PA. Her name's Geraldine, and she was just awesome. She was on us. She was kind of like a motherly figure in a way to us, and just made sure we were taken care of. And so she was awesome, and big reason why I was able to do that.
It's interesting because all three of you guys I've talked to have mentioned that liaison between the school and the hockey team, the major junior hockey team. How important is that person to making sure that, they're a bit of a den mom, if you will, and also at the same time, making sure that you have what you need to go on the bus on a long road trip, making sure that you have that time set aside, and just making sure if you need to talk, there's somebody to talk to.
Yeah, I think in my particular case, she... Geraldine had been involved in education her entire life, and I believe at that time she was just retired, and so she had a really good knowledge and insight into the school and the different teachers and programs and everything else. So I think her background really helped. And then, as you said, there's, I think my first year and second year, there was anywhere from 7 to 10 guys, maybe a little more or less in school still, or some guys even that were out of high school taking university courses. So she was kind of balancing a lot of different things. You're balancing, we were in Saskatchewan, so guys are coming from, BC, Alberta, Manitoba, the U.S., so coordinating that with their schools back home for, graduation points and stuff like that and credits. But I think what was great about her was she laid the foundation for us, but she also didn't, just do everything for us, so we didn't have to have accountability on ourselves. If we didn't take the initiative to go speak with the teachers or, get our work done, or, we're late on assignments, that was on us, and we, had to be accountable for that. But she would give you every opportunity to, be successful with it too, and put yourself in the best position to do well. So she was awesome for us, and really a big reason why, like I said, I was able to do well in school while there.
That year you had a 92 grade point average, and you talked to me a little bit about this going into, well, us kind of setting this up about a month ago, and you said it was an objective, it was a goal of yours to try to be one of the best Scholastic players in major junior hockey in Canada and the United States that particular year, your grade 12 years. So looking back, how much pride do you have on what you were able to accomplish back then in playing elite hockey, playing, international hockey for Team Canada teams as well, and also winning the Scholastic Player of the Year in the Canadian Hockey League?
Yeah, I take a lot of pride in it. I think it's something that, when I look back at my career and accomplishments at various levels and, junior and tournaments and, obviously throughout my NHL career, it's definitely a unique achievement and something that I think, obviously I've taken a ton of pride in. Hockey's always been my dream to play in the NHL and hopefully one day win a Stanley Cup. But, for me, it kind of makes me feel proud because it's a different, maybe not what I'm my best at or I am good at, but it's not sort of what I hang my hat on every day. And something that, hopefully down the line when I have kids, I'll be able to, kind of tell them about that. And although I, didn't go to university and went straight to pro hockey, I'm proud of that achievement and, something that I'll always have in my back pocket.
What were your favorite subjects, and do you still do a lot of reading now?
Yeah, still read quite a bit. It's always something that I think I could do more of. The technology era for everyone. Maybe I could spend a little less time on my phone or watching Netflix and a little more time reading. But I've always enjoyed reading things that I find are educational or that I'm learning about finance or things like that are sort of applicable in my own life. So I spend some time reading those things or some stuff on leadership in regards to team sports and everything else. But I think reading is super important and something that, I think you it's relaxing too. It's nice for your mental health. I think, spending time on the iPads and the phones and in front of computers, it's obviously part of our everyday life, certainly, but if you can kind of disconnect from that a little bit and read a book or spend some time in that kind of space, I think it can be really good for you too.
So that'll do it. Episode 153 of Ground Control in the books. Jets will be home Friday to face the Colorado Avalanche to start a 3-game homestand. Also, the Jets will host the second next-gen game at Canada Life Center on Sunday, February 26th. It'll be the celebration of the next generation of hockey. And finally, on February 28th, the Jets will continue celebrating Black History Month with their Black History game against the Los Angeles Kings. Tickets for both are available at nhl.com/jets/tickets. Talk to you next week, everybody.
This has been Ground Control, the official podcast of the Winnipeg Jets. For more Jets news, videos, and more, head to winnipegjets.com.